do you guys feel, and Kool-Aid, I'll let you go first, that the Pistons need another facilitator on this team? Maybe kind of elaborate. Are you talking more of like maybe a backup point guard or just maybe a secondary ball handler?
Yeah. If anything, a secondary ball handler that understands the principles of facilitation. Not to box them into just a backup point guard, but a player that can come in here and just make the offense go. Especially when the ball's out of Cade's hands. I think Jaden Ivey he's taken some good steps this year at being able to handle that and learning that kind of backup ball handler or facilitator role. But I do think that bringing in somebody off the bench who can handle that type of stuff. I like the growth of Marcus Sasser. Some things I've seen, I put him more in the aspect of a combo guard, somebody who can benefit as well from having a facilitator to be able to get him the ball. I think one of his best strengths is catch and shoot, or that kind of pump fake, one dribble, and then step back three-pointer as well. He's really good at that type of stuff. And I believe when you get another facilitator in here, it opens up some things. It opens up the sets that you're able to run. I don't know. I kind of like the combination of Cade on one wing and pick any one of the other shooters on another wing to be able to help do something they've been trying to do for a long time, and that's bring Cade Cunningham's usage rate down. He's been 27, 28, 29, 30% for a long time, and I don't know how sustainable that is as it relates to winning. And that's where I hope that they can get somebody else in here that can help to bring that usage rate down, stabilize things for people. And if they want to capitalize on really being ahead of expectation right now, having somebody that understands that position rather than having to learn it on the fly, I think not only helps the Pistons right now, but it helps guys like Marcus Sasser and Jaden Ivey who are trying to learn that position. I think it helps them as well. Definitely.
Yeah. I think a lot of good things are there. And when you look at, like I think it's pretty apparent that I don't think the Pistons are going to be making any moves this season where they're going to be giving up significant assets. I think if they wanted to go get a Brandon Ingram, I think they would have done it by now, because if you have anyone in the league that would understand where Brandon Ingram's situation is at, it's Trajan Langdon. But as far as like facilitators, I do think that they do need at least another point guard or someone that can, help get guys going, especially when you look at, Jaden Ivey. I think a lot of nights when he really struggles is when he's getting blitzed or when a lot of the pressure is on him, to be the on-ball creator. And I think a lot of times it's with his explosiveness and with what he can do. I think to be able to, to cut to the basket more, to get easy shots and opportunities set up for him would be something that, would be massively beneficial. As far as like some guys that could be options, like I know, I think Anthony, you might have tweeted out about Malcolm Brogdon as someone, that's, potentially going to be available. We know that Lonzo Ball in Chicago is going to be someone that's potentially going to be moved. If the Pistons didn't want to trade any assets and just bring in someone off of free agency, Elfrid Payton was released about a week ago from the Pelicans when they had to bring back in, I believe when DeJounte Murray was healthy again. They just, for cap reasons, just cut Payton. So I think there's options out there where the Pistons don't necessarily have to dip too much into the future. And again, with this cap space that they have, it gives them the flexibility to bring in that type of salary where, like, Brogdon and Lonzo Ball, like they're expiring contracts, like you can bring them in, see how they do. And, you essentially hold the keys to what happens, going forward. You have the bird rights of free agency. So for me, like, I think when you look at like what pieces make sense, I think it has to be kind of guys like that where, they're not quite being expected to do what they used to back in the day, but they can still come in and give you solid facilitation and, just like that type of presence handling the basketball.
I like the idea of Lonzo. That's something that we've talked about before. Like, could you imagine Lonzo and Cade, Lonzo and Ivy? You talk about a guy who can make pretty much an assist from anywhere on the court. We've seen Lonzo get thrown the ball, literally inbound full court. He gets the ball and just looks up and boom. And it's just, that's where this guy's mind is at, is facilitating. That's where I'm hoping if the Pistons do bring in somebody that has kind of that archetype, whether they're a traditional point guard or not, just definitely somebody who can come in and like you already said, Sean, as well, be able to help just release some of the pressure on some of the people here. Because I believe that it feels like Cade Cunningham might be our only natural facilitator on the team. Not that other people can't get there, but even Marcus Sasser has stated couple times, like, I'm trying to learn this. Even at Summer League, we got to speak to him, and it was like, I'm trying to learn how to play point guard and set other people up in their positions to succeed as well. So, it'd be interesting to see where they go from here if they're able to fix something this season. I know some people have talked about kicking the tires on Tyus Jones, even a Markelle Fultz type of a player. But there are, in my opinion, some options. I know Elfrid Payton. But the shooting is something you got to worry about in terms of the facilitation. Definitely know he can do that, but don't know where things sit as it relates to his scoring ability.
Yeah, so I think they definitely need more playmaking. I think we've known this for a while now. We've seen it, but it depends what the goals are. Like, and this is where it's like comes back to Trajan for me. He said in his first press conference, I think, like, we're at a stage where I want to acquire assets. Now, this was before the actual free agency period, I think. The Pistons are asset poor. They owe that pick. And I think after thinking about this backup point guard thing and all of that, and I think how much cap space? I think the Pistons have got like 10 million in cap space still. They have the open roster spot. Mm-hmm. I think Trajan is just waiting for a team that wants to get out of the tax around the deadline to take on a contract and try to get more picks. Maybe it's just another 3 second rounders. Maybe it's just you somehow get a first, although I'm not sure. But I think because at the end of the day, the Pistons are 10-15. Cade looks like an all-star. And Bryce Simon said this as well, which I was like, actually, it makes so much sense. Like, yes, we're seeing Ivy struggle, but you continue to find out his limitations, what he can do, what he needs to work on. Is he ever going to be able to facilitate for the minutes effectively that Cade's not there? So there is still so much value in the struggle with Ivy, and you also keep that roster spot free to potentially get some more assets at the deadline and take on a contract or be that third team. So that's why my gut feel, I could be so wrong, but is that they won't just go get Elfrid Payton. The Malcolm Brogdon one's interesting because he's expiring on at least 10, 15 mil, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I think it might even be a little over 20.
So there you go.
He signed a pretty lucrative contract, but
so that could be an option. But I don't know if the Pistons would get a pick. I'm not sure. I'm not the best with trades. I suck at this stuff. But that's just kind of my gut feel. But I 100% agree. They need more facilitation now and in future. So I'm not sure if we're going to get to that, but they are missing another guy to go alongside Cade and Ivy to a lesser extent.
Shout out Chuck Brewer. He said, I heard there's a point guard named Killian Hayes that would be available. That got me to chuckle pretty
blocked.
Good.
Chuck, you're blocked.
Yeah.
Get out of here, Chuck. You gotta go.
Man. What's that? Monty Williams burner account?
Is that what Chuck's been this entire time?
That's gotta be. Real quick, shout out to Ashley the Trader who's tapping in. We appreciate you being here, man. Yeah, you guys, y'all hit it out the park, man. That's why y'all are great. I 100% agree with you. They definitely need to find another facilitator. If it were me and my choice, I would kind of try to find somebody in the front court because I just think they don't have a lot of consistency in that area right now. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to lean on staggering the guards as much as they do, I mean, we've even seen sets where they bring the ball up with Malik Beasley or Tim Hardaway Jr. Asar has even taken some time bringing the ball up as well. They have enough versatility where it doesn't necessarily have to be a point guard, I don't think. So I think that's kind of to the credit of what Trajan has done. He's talked about not wanting to rush steps. He's not going to, plunge on a huge contract right away. He wants to take on the assets and, follow through the proper steps of this rebuild. And at this point, I think they're kind of ahead of schedule. Again, this team could easily be above 500 if a couple things swing a different direction. If Asar is healthy, just little things that a young team like the Pistons have to learn and go through. But I do think he has his eye open now. Like I said before, I think he understands and sees what kind of pieces fit around this young core, what kind of players work with Cade Cunningham. I've been talking for the longest about the benefit of Cade playing out of the post. I really want to talk to him about that specifically. And taking the ball out of his hands, letting him play kind of those off-ball role in some sets makes a lot of sense, and it gets guys like Ivy a little bit more comfortable in his spots, gets other guys open spots, and it continues the movement that we see in a lot of half-court sets with this team. But, yeah, for me, I would prefer if they took a look at finding somebody in the front court, but either way, I trust Trajan's ability to find the right guys that they need. But at this point, I mean, he even made it clear. There was a report that he tried to offer Tyus Jones a deal. So he clearly sees what we see as well. It's just a matter of who they find to go get him.
Tyus Jones and Patrick Beverly. I'm not subscribed to this podcast. I don't know about you guys, but
I don't know anyone who is
what
subscribed
you
to
did
Pat
there.
Bev's podcast. Like, I'm not
Nobody
trying
is.
to take Pat Bev shots, but it's like I just see the clips where it's like, oh, so he's going for the Gilbert Arenas thing. Got it.
So none of us will be able to talk to him then.
No, he won't be here. It's not happening.
My bad. Just burned that bridge for all of us.
I think I'm good on talking to Pat Bev. I think the podcast would end in like less than 60 seconds.
Yeah,
because
that's
I'd
valid.
probably bring up stuff that never happened. I'd probably bring up the infamous, Steph Curry, next 6 years are mine. And you get kind of bring up the next 6 years.
Hilarious.
Yeah, not even 5 years into that, he's in Israel. It's like, oh man, that's just brutal.
Oh man, what a career! And you know what was
What a
funny
career!
too, because the report came out that somebody I guess from his camp leaked that he turned down the Pistons or that they wanted to sign him and all that. And it's just like looking at what the Pistons are doing right now to exceed some expectation and seeing his wonderful career. You know what? I don't know, man. Maybe the grass isn't always green on the other side.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Maybe.